So, welcome back. First of all, welcome back to those new subscribers. Thank you very much. Yeah, saluting you guys. And the updates with what's going on. Been tinkering with a lot of stuff, man. First of all, for those GTI guys, I changed a few bits on the GTI. Put a front lip on there from TRC. I love this front lip. It's the same lip that I've got on the R bumper as well. Also got an aftermarket front bumper. Put some vents on just to make it look a bit different, you know. I got these cheap R side skirts, but I made it kind of work. And then what do we do? And then I fixed up the back bumper. I just done a bit of sanding here because this bumper's, it was crazy, man. So there, change these lights at some point. It's mad expensive. Maybe it's something like this. Anyway, this is what I've been doing. Is took out the R32 engine, as you can see. So this is just a few pointers for you guys, just maybe building your own. 5 things, man. 5 things to watch out for. 5 things to not forget. 5 things to not do when you're building your R32 engine. One of them is you're using this manifold, which is quite common. It's a CTS style manifold. They do a lot of copies out there as well. You can't use the polyphonic spacer, man. You can, but with this inlet, you've got to trim the fan a little bit anyway, a little touch. But with this on, it's a lot you got to trim. You got to trim a lot of the fan. So if you're going to use that, maybe leave out the polyphonic. Polyphonic is good though, because it helps it prevents the heat from transferring over from the head to the inlet. So you got a cooler inlet. So this would be ideal if you had like another inlet with, or intake with a lot more space. But this is quite limited. I had to cut quite a lot of my fans. So that's one reason why I wasn't quite happy. Another thing is, when you're doing these builds, you have to lock tight everything. And when I mean everything, bruv. Everything. Like, stuff was loose. My prop wasn't loose, but it wasn't as tight as when I put it on. So everything's getting locked tight back on, you know, because you're gonna be vibrating, especially if you've got solid mounts. Another thing, get a decent in-tank pump, a decent flipping, some type of return lines, a return setup. Get decent. If you know what, you can't go wrong with just getting decent lines. So PTFE lines from the get-go, from the start. Just run them, or you can run your standard lines with the adapters on them. So you can put the adapters on them, but I'm not sure if they're E85 safe. So you got to find that out first. Another thing, which is number 3, is if you're putting a front mount on these cars, especially the Mark 5 and that, a 4-inch thick intercooler is going to be an arsehole to fit. Like, it's just mad. So try and get yourself a 3-inch, maybe from, I'll put a link in the description. I can't remember the name at the moment. But this is a 4-inch, and it's just, it looks big. I think yeah, looking big looks sick in that. But when it comes to fitting it now, it's just gonna be, you're gonna have to cut out a lot of stuff. And even after you cut out a lot of stuff, you're gonna have some fitment issues. So if you wanna have a slick look and cut out less stuff, get a nice, slim, high brake intercooler. So one that can hold like over 600 would be ideal. Depends on what power goals you're looking for. But yeah, the last thing you want to do is be doing this build and you're limited to like intercooler. The last thing you want to be doing is limited to intercooler, to flow, and then also gas, petrol. So make sure you're running good injectors, make sure you're running good fuel pump, make sure you're running a proper intercooler that can take the power. Another thing, another mistake that I made which was a pretty shabby mistake. Quite pissed off about this actually. When you're doing your return, you have to do the return, check it out. You have to do your return higher up. So basically this is too low, because you're not gonna have a good flow of oil returning back to the pan. So if you do it higher up, it'll flow out better. I had oil going into my intake, a lot of it actually. I know there's gonna be a little bit anyway, but I had a lot of it to the point where my car wouldn't start because of the oil going onto the spark plugs. So that's one of the problems. That's the main problem for that. So I'm gonna have to relocate that. So that's number 4. And number 5, make sure you fireproof everything, bro. Everything. When I mean everything, I mean putting a cover here to stop the heat going through, even though it's not gonna do a lot, but it's something. Yeah? Fireproof everything, wrap everything. Fireproof everything. All your hoses, your water hoses, your fuel lines, these stuff here. Invest in some proper like silicone heat resistant pipes, man. Okay, this is what happened to my oil feed. Luckily I had this, but it was in a tight spot anyway, so it's in a real tight spot. So what I would have had to do is get an extension, because it was quite low down. Let me try and show you. It's quite low down here, and it was actually this way. And as you can imagine, like this. So wait, let me try and fix this properly. So it was like that. It was like that. Like that? Yeah, like that. Something like that. That's what it was like. But if I didn't have this, what I'm trying to say, if I didn't have this silicone heat resistant tube, I'd have been screwed, man. The turbo would have been screwed. There would have been oil everywhere. Make sure you heat wrap everything. Heat wrap even if it's the smallest hose or the smallest pipe. Anywhere that's within a few centimeters away from something hot, a few inches away from something hot, boom, wrap it up. Downpipe, proper wrapped up. And even then, something burnt. Because I don't know what it, actually I know what it was actually. I know what it was. But as you can see here, something burnt and fell onto it. I think it was, look at this. The plastic from this burnt off and fell into the downpipe. And the downpipe was wrapped. So imagine the downpipe wasn't wrapped. Heat wrap everything. Fireproof everything. Well, I can't stress it enough. These engines get mad hot. Mad hot. So anyway, I'm sorry about the garage. Such a mess. This is the process, man. If you want to get things done and you're doing stuff yourself, this is what you got to go through. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope some of you watched to the end, because I hope it's worth it for you guys. So if I'd have known some of this stuff from before, I would have made less mistakes. So that's one reason why I'm taking my engine out again, is the rear main seal I think I threw it away, but it was leaking a lot. So hopefully I can put one of these on and job done. But this is super tight, so I don't know. Also, so I'm just gonna throw this one in there just for a bit of advice actually. One mistake that I made that I didn't have to make, and it was not a mistake actually, but getting VVT deletes now, when I think about it, is actually quite pointless actually. So because I didn't end up adjusting them. So unless you're gonna get like big cams and really dial it in, I kind of think VVT deletes are pointless now. So if you're planning on getting VVT, unless you're looking to physically dial it in, maybe stick with your VVT, and then I think that you maybe can tune it better as well. So that's one less thing you may need to worry about. Anyway, stay tuned. I hope it helped. And thanks for watching. Stay blessed.